Hi everybody, it's time for another wrap-up. I have a stack of books here I cannot wait to tell you about. I hope you're ready for your TBR to explode again. Let's get started. Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. It's Russell with Ink and Paper Blog. How are you doing today? I hope you guys are doing very, very well. We've just had a long weekend here in the United States to celebrate Memorial Day, so a huge thank you to all the men and women who serve in the military. My dad actually was in the Navy for 27 years. I grew up as a military kid, and both of my grandfathers were in the military, so I always have a special place in my heart to say thank you to military servicemen and women. And so yeah, definitely, say thank you if you see them because they do a lot to keep us free and protected. Today I'm here to talk about a bunch of books that I have read lately. I have really turned a corner. So I don't read as much during the week as I used to, but I definitely have been picking up on the weekends. And everything I've been reading, I've been enjoying more or less. So it's not been bad for me at all. I'm really happy with my progress. So I cannot wait to tell you about these books. So get out your pen, get out your paper, get out your Goodreads, get out however you keep track of your TBR. Because I want you to get all these books. If you are so able, you can order these from your local independent bookstores. I know in my area, bookstores aren't officially open, but you can order books and pick them up at the door, which I did this weekend. So if you are able to do that, please do so. They know that I know that they will appreciate it. If you're a library user, get it digitally until the libraries decide how they're going to open again, which I hope actually is really soon, because I miss the library. So let's get started. The first book I'm going to tell you guys about is actually A Glass of Best Blessings by Barbara Pym. And I'm not actually going to talk about it very much because this was the first book club pick for my friend Ryan and I's Spilling Tea Book Club. We have a whole video on this book. You can watch that video. We talk about it in a lot of detail. Barbara Pym is one of my favorite writers, so I absolutely gush about her in that video. We're running a new book club. If you are interested, you can join, and we're holding Zoom book club meetings once every month or so, and we're introducing the new book and all that kind of stuff. So please check out that video. If you have watched it, thank you very, very much. I love Barbara Pym. She always has sort of this small town British feel to her. She's always got sort of this comedy of errors thing, a social comedy sort of feel to her. And this one did not let down. I absolutely loved it. So I just don't want to talk about it too much because I've talked about it for 25 minutes on a video. So pick it up, watch the video. You'll enjoy it, I promise. The next book I'm going to tell you about, I bought as totally a cover by, I don't know, a couple of years ago now, and that's Before Everything by Victoria Redel. And I bought this just because I think the cover is actually absolutely stunning. And I didn't know much about this book, but I loved it for a lot of reasons. So you guys know that I love a book that's very quiet. I like a book that doesn't have a lot of plot and is a lot about people and thoughts and relationships. And that's what this book is about. Before Everything is the story of Anna. Anna has suffered many times over from different cancer diagnoses and has fought through many times. And she has finally been diagnosed with cancer once more, and she has decided that she's just ready to stop fighting. And this is the story of her four best friends and her who come together sort of really to celebrate their relationships, and celebrate Anna's life and their lives together. They've been friends for years and years and years. They have a lot of history together. And so this book is about a group of women really celebrating each other and the relationships and the complexity of friendship that occurs between this group of women. I really love this book. I think Anna is a fantastic character. I think that her decision-making process on why she decides to just sort of stop fighting because of all, sort of the physical just exhaustion from it all is so well told. All of the characters are really well balanced and thought out, and you get to know each and every one of them. You find out different things about their past, like sort of how their stories interconnect, but you also find about them now and sort of that idea of this, Anna's going to pass and a part of their lives together is going to end, but there's still a lot of future. So these women who are going to continue to live on have to look at what their life is going to be after her. And it is really powerfully done. I really enjoyed it. My only sort of qualm with the book is that there are a couple times where sort of things that happened in the US, like real-time events, I felt were a little shoved into the book. I didn't know that they were absolutely necessary. One of the brothers of Anna is a runner in the Boston marathon when it was bombed, and I don't know that that was a needed section of the book. And there are a couple of other things that go on that, to me, the book could have stayed even quieter than it did. But that is such a nitpicky little thing, because overall, Victoria does an amazing job of developing the relationship of these women, and this book made me want to read everything that she's written, and I'm super excited to see what she does next as well. So that's Before Everything by Victoria Redel, and again, these are all out now, so you guys can get your hands on them right now. The next book up, it was my book of the month pick, I want to say last month, and that is All Adults Here by Emma Straub, out from Riverhead. And I would love to be sponsored by Book of the Month, but I'm not, but I love them very, very much. You guys know that. All Adults Here is a family, saga's not the right word. It's just a family drama. Astrid is sort of our matriarch. She's the mother of 3 children, and she lives in a tiny northeastern town that is, very set in our ways. We all know one of these towns that wants to remain sort of inclusive of its people, its local businesses. At the very, very start of the book, Astrid is out, and one of the women she knows from the town is hit and killed by a bus. Seems like a very dramatic way to begin, and it is. But what that does is it puts into perspective for Astrid that maybe she hasn't been living her life to its fullest truth since her husband died many years ago. And it turns out she has some secrets that she's been keeping from her children, and her children all have things going on. One of the impetuses of the book is that her young granddaughter has had an issue in school, so is moving in with Astrid and is going to go to school in her town just so that she can sort of get a reboot. And it's about her relationships with the town. There's a lot of stuff that goes in this. There's some great queer representation. It's a lot about family. It's a lot about communication. It's a lot about just like independence and growth. And it's all about family, and I love a book about family, as you guys can tell. Family if it's a group of friends, family if it's actually what the definition of family is. Emma Straub is a great writer. I flew through this book. And I really, really loved it. And I've only read one other book by her, and I don't know why. I haven't read her whole catalog. But that's Emma Straub's All Adults Here, out now. I highly recommend it. This is a fantastic summer read, you guys. So, I really do recommend it. Then I went into another family drama right after that, a book that came out in May. I think it came out on like May 5th, and that's The Imperfects by Amy Meyerson. And I really liked this book, but unfortunate for this book is it was continuously compared to Emma Straub's book to me in my brain, because I read them one after the other. This is also a family saga in a lot of ways. It is a family saga. This is about a family where the matriarch, Helen, has passed away, and at the her sort of they're trying to set Seder for her. Gosh, that was hard to say. I was trying to get that right in my head. And it's her 3 grandchildren and her daughter. Now, unfortunately, her daughter has made some life choices, and all of the children, the daughter, are all sort of alienated from each other. And they all come together. There's some animosity, and it's found out that Helen actually owns this giant diamond that's supposedly been missing from the for years and years and years, and no one knew she had it, and no one knows how she got it. So it becomes sort of this investigation into Helen's life, but also it becomes sort of a crime mystery. I don't know how to even explain it, but basically once it's found out that the family has this diamond, the FBI gets involved, the Italian government gets involved, the Austrian government gets involved, and there's like this whole sort of underlying caper. That's the word, like sort of like a criminal caper. And that's sort of where the book lost me. I kind of liked it in the beginning. I thought it was sort of fun, but it gets a little bit bogged down in that aspect, and it loses for me what I think is the heart of this book. The heart of this book is the difficulties of a family when you feel betrayed by your family, where you feel like something should have gone a certain way or certain things should have happened, where someone in your family does something and you sort of hold a grudge for many, many years. The brother in this family has created a movie many years ago, and it was about his family, and it wound up being too truthful, and it caused a lot of issues for other members, and it sort of opened this rift between them all. So yeah, there's a lot of that, which I loved, but sort of the crime keeper of the jewel got a little bit heavy-handed and a little bit too like on the nose. And I didn't need it as much. I wanted to know about Helen. I wanted to know where her family came from. I wanted to know how she got it. I wanted to know how it got to the United States. I loved all of that part of it. But really the other part of it just sort of felt awkward to me. I recommend it. I think it's a fun summer read, but I just didn't love it as much as I wanted to. So that is The Imperfects by Amy Meyerson, out now from Park Row Books. Sorry, my allergies have been bothering me a bit today, so I'm a little bit congested and I can hear it, so I apologize. The next book I'm going to tell you about is actually the book club book for my Bicoastal Bibliophiles book club, which I read super early, and that's The Museum of Modern Love by Heather Rose. And the reason was, one night at like 3 o'clock in the morning, Berkeley decided it was time to go to the bathroom. He decided he needed to go out. And I live in downtown San Jose, so I live on the 4th floor of a building. And so I have to take him out for a walk. And I was up, and I'm one of those people that once I'm awake, I'm awake. I don't go back to sleep right away. And so I was in the living room, and this book had just come. So it was the only thing in the living room to read. And I sat down and I opened it and I read it in literally 2 days. I thought it was phenomenal. The Museum of Modern Love is situated as sort of around a real life art event that occurred at the Museum of Modern Art in New York. A performance art piece by Marina Abramovich, and I said that as best as I could. And what this performance piece was is that she would sit at a table in a chair for 70 some odd days, and people could sit in the chair across from her. She wouldn't say anything to them. They wouldn't speak to her. They would just look at each other for as long as they could. And this sort of created this atmosphere of intimacy between the artist and the general public. And this book is about a lot of people that come into contact with this piece of art, but they also have a lot of stuff going on in their own life. Our main character, I would argue, is a gentleman whose wife has a genetic disease that is passed on in her family, and she has just gone into sort of the decline of her health, and she puts into place legal proceedings that he cannot visit her. She wants him to sort of live on his life, move forward. And that decision by her causes him not only his own personal sort of trials and tribulations with it, but it causes him to be judged by others around him. And he's a musician by trade. He creates the soundtracks to movies, and he is trying to create art while he's really struggling with this piece of his personal life. And so he goes to the MoMA and he sits there and he watches Marina, and he just sees how this affects different people. And to me, this book is a lot about the idea of all that's unsaid in the world, all the conversations we don't have, all the things we refuse to think about. When you sit down and all you can do is like look someone in the eye, what comes into your head, and what things challenge you? What do they make you think? Do you realize your strength, your independence? Do you realize your sorrow, your weakness? And that's what all of the characters in these books in a lot of way are doing. They're sort of dealing with their own individuality, and how they sort of perceive not only the world, but themselves. And this art piece allows them to speak to that in a way that they never thought they would before. We learn a lot about Marina, her history, her past. Her mother is in the book sort of as a ghost-like character, giving sort of a commentary on her, which I thought was really, really well done. Again, this is a book where not a lot of plot happens, but it is a dive into the psyche of people. I adored it. This won the Stella Prize in Australia, and everyone I know that's read it has really loved it. So that's The Museum of Modern Love by Heather Rose. Highly, and it's a beautiful naked hardcover in the US. Beautiful. Okay, I have 2 more books to tell you about. A brand new debut novel, Catherine House by Elisabeth Thomas, out from Custom House. This was actually recommended to me by one of the editors of Goodreads on Twitter when I said I was buying books for my birthday. What should I read? And they recommended this. So this is for you if you are a fan of a campus novel. I think it's one of those, it's sort of a twist between The Secret History and Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro. So Secret History by Donna Tartt, Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro. So our main character is a young woman. She's sort of running from something she'd done in her past, and she's accepted into the Catherine House. The Catherine House is like a university, an exclusive university, very difficult to get into. But once you're admitted, you are sort of cut off from the real world. You have no communication with your family, no communication with the outside world. But everyone who has gone to the Catherine House has gone on to be something great. Great artists, presidents, Supreme Court justice, actors, sort of that kind of thing. But we find out very, very quickly that there is a scientific experiment going on that the Catherine House that's sort of known for, that had it sort of gone off the rails, but it turns out they're still doing it, and parts of the experiments are done on the children. I say children, they're college-age kids, but to me, they're still children when you're 21 and 22, 23 years old. And this is the story of one woman and her friendships and how all of the dynamics of the Catherine House affect this group of people and the decisions they make, and how the research sort of starts to intervene and sort of weave itself into their lives in a way that they don't either understand, don't expect, or then once they do understand it, they become fearful of. I really love the atmosphere of this book. I love the idea of the Catherine House. I thought everything was really good. I thought the ending was a little bit of a letdown for me. I'll be honest with you. It was a lot of buildup for a little bit of a but that being said, I really loved all the buildup. So I highly recommend it. I think she's an immense talent, Elisabeth Thomas is. But I wanted a bigger ending. I hope that makes sense. But I definitely think that it tied itself up really nicely. I just wanted a bit of an explosion. Does that make sense, I guess? But I highly recommend it. So that's The Catherine House by Elisabeth Thomas, out now from Custom House. Last but not least is a bit of nonfiction. Nonfiction, Russell. Nonfiction. And that is my autobiography of Carson McCullers by Jenn Shapland. This is a story of a woman, Jenn. She is a PhD student in Texas, and she is in the process of archiving some of the collection of Carson McCullers, the writer of The Heart is a Lonely Hunter, and many more novels. I think that's maybe her most famous. She runs across a couple of letters between Carson McCullers and a woman named Anne Marie that indicate that they had some sort of intimate relationship. And what she does is she starts to sort of dive into this idea that nowhere in sort of the biography or the discussion of Carson McCullers does anyone come out and specifically say that she was ever a lesbian, had any sort of lesbian relationships, had any relationships with women. They sort of all push it to the side. So what Jenn decides to do is to investigate these relationships. She reads archives of letters. She reads transcripts of Carson McCullers' therapy at the end of her life. And she starts to sort of dive into the history of Carson and her relationship with different people, not only women, but also her husband, Reeve, who she winds up marrying twice. But in the same time, this is also considered a memoir because Jenn uses this investigation into Carson McCullers to sort of discuss and come to terms with her own sort of sense of queerness and her queer identity in the world itself, decades after Carson was doing the same thing in her own sort of vocabulary. And Jenn talks about coming out. She talks about being in relationships that were relationships, but no one was actually acknowledging were relationships, not even maybe the people inside them. And Jenn does a really amazing job. And I say Jenn because this is my sister's name. And so I can feel like I can just say it out. And what she does fantastically is she intertwines not only the research, not only Carson, but also herself in such a way that it's just really warm and touching and heart-wrenching at times, but also informative and very literary. Jenn winds up she has her PhD from the University of Texas at Austin, and in literature, and you can sort of see her love of literature just in the way that she handles the material. I found it really moving. I absolutely loved it, and I highly recommend it. I think that because I've read The Heart is the Lonely Hunter, that I felt like I could connect to it a little bit more. I don't think you need to have read any Carson McCullers to like this book, but I do think knowing who she is as a writer helps sort of bring a sense of realness to everything. So read The Heart is the Lonely Hunter, and then read My Autobiography of Carson McCullers by Jenn Shapland. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. So that is quite a little stack. Let me see if I can hold that up there for you guys. I hope that every single one of these books winds up on your TBR, and I hope you love them. As always, if you are a return subscriber, I thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it. Could not do this without you. If you are new to my channel, I hope you come back for more. I talk about books, and I love it. As always, I encourage you to shop locally, read globally, and until next time, I wish you very happy reading. Bye!